Awesome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. I am your host, the one and only Cody Kelly. Look, connect with me on all streaming platforms and subscribe to the YouTube page below. If you want to continue to see great content, subscribe to YouTube at CV Space K. I have an amazing episode, an amazing person. I have the none other than amazing, talented Evangelist Chrysann. Evangelist Moore, how are you doing today?
I'm well. How are you doing? How are you?
I'm excited. I'm well. All the little church cliches. I'm blessed. I'm highly favored. I'm all that.
Okay.
But I'm so excited. Thank you for being on here. We're so excited to have you on today's show. I just want to feature you've been an amazing gift to the body of Christ, an amazing influence on me, even though I can't sing personally because God decided not to equip me in that manner. But it is what it is, and you're on It Is What It Is show. So before we get into it, I always like featuring my guests in some of their work so you can get a familiarity with just some of their content, and then you can go subscribe, download, and buy. Does that sound cool?
Sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, let me share my screen to make sure I don't mess this up in a
More on me than I can you said that you never would more on so I'm calling you Jesus. I'm depending on you to see me through. Yeah, cause I can't make it. Cause I can't make it without you. Now my faith is being tested, and the enemy keeps talking to my mind, trying to replace the word, Lord, that you've spoken. But down in fear and a whole lot of lies. But in the midst of what I'm going through, Lord, I'm gonna cling to the very word I heard from you. And you said that you never put more on me. Yes, you did. God, you're not a man that you should lie. Either the son of man that you should repent. If you said it, I believe you. And I'm gonna trust you, Lord. Yeah. So I'm calling you Jesus. I'm depending on you, Lord, to see me through. Yeah. Cause I can't make it. Oh, if I don't have you, Lord, I'm not gonna make it. So I'm calling you, crying out, Jesus. I'm depending on you, Lord, to see me through. See my family through, Lord, cause I can't make it. Oh, can't make it without you, Lord. So I come to you on my knees and say I need you to lead. I need you to guide me. Lord, I'm gonna trust you. Cause I know you will. Make everything alright. I need you to lead. I need you to guide me. Lord, I'm gonna trust you. Cause I know you will. I need you to lead me. I need you to guide me. Lord, I'm gonna trust you. Cause I know you will. Make everything alright. I need you to the guide. Lord, I'm gonna trust you. Cause I know you will. me. You will make everything. You will make everything.
Look, that was killer, to say the least. Why can you sing? Like, that doesn't make any sense. God knows if he would have blessed me with the gift of singing, I would be Usher, I would be Chris, like I would literally be on BET. Why?
Okay.
Like, and that's why the Lord didn't give me this gift. Why do you have this amazing vocal ability? Like, did you just know, like, as a little child, like, this is what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna sing for the Lord.
You know what? I don't know if I necessarily knew it as a child, but my mom, I love my mom. She would keep journals for each one of us. And in her journal, I got to read it. And she said two things about me: that I like to sing and I like to help. So ever since I was a small child, I was always singing. So it was something that I always loved to do. And I guess just being in the church, singing, you know, I come from a musically inclined family on both sides, my mother's side and my father's side. So I think the Lord just decided to pass it on down to me. So I believe it's something that I was created and destined to do.
Yeah, I mean, all of you. You're the first lady, Morrison, like the whole, your sister, like everybody in your is ridiculous. Have you, like, and I don't know, right? Like, when you're blessed with this amazing gift and you have this calling, does that mean, is that the only thing, you know, like, would you ever sing non-gospel, right? Like, whatever form, like if Gladys Knight reached out to you, or whoever, Beyonce, I don't know about Gladys, that's not my generation. Beyonce reached out, Gladys Moore, I love the song, let's do a duet. You know, would you do something like that?
It depends on what the content of it would be.
Sure.
You know, if it was something that was going to promote Christ or promote a positive message, which is what I'm about, I think I might do it. I think I would, but it would have to be, I think, more so on my terms.
Okay.
On my terms. So it's something that I would consider. Now, a while back, I would have been like, no way whatsoever. No, but you know, some opportunities are opportunities that you shouldn't pass up. You should take them. So yeah, but for me personally, I feel like gospel is what I'm supposed to sing. I don't feel like that I'm supposed to sing secular and sing gospel. I just don't feel like that's what I'm supposed to do with the gift God gave me.
Sure. Do you ever get tempted, like in the car, like a song comes on and you'd be like, I'm gonna just try this run?
Well, you know what? I will say, since I was in school, I went back to school to get my degree.
Yeah, congrats, I saw that.
Yeah, I had to listen to rock and roll. I had to listen to classical. I had to listen to R&B. I had to listen to all those different genres of music. And a lot of it was enjoyable because of the creativity and the musical creativity in it. But I don't, you know, I really don't have a desire, you know, to really listen to the other styles of music, even though it's good. It can be pleasant. Some people do. I just really don't have that desire. I just love gospel music. So that's what I listen to.
It's cool. Everybody, I like it. I mean, I like gospel. I'm an eclectic individual. I listen to just literally about everything, but that's a lot of that stems from upbringing. Let's get deeper. So, grew up around singers, right? And singers sometimes can be harsh on other singers, right? Maybe unfairly so, but if a singer knows a singer, right? Like, when you're in the midst or you're in rehearsal or whatever, do you have to be a bit stern if you feel like somebody is flat? Like, if you ever call somebody out and be like, hey, you off, you can't, like, has that ever like happened when you have to really like bust somebody down? Like, hey, look, you really can't sing. You shouldn't do this.
No, I've never done that. My approach, especially as a minister of music, it's my job to, try and cultivate what is there. So even, even in the worst scenario, in some kind of way, to me, I'm going to try and figure out what I can do to make that work. But there have been times when I had to say, okay, you're flat. You need to come up on this note. Maybe you need to take in more breath before you sing it, or don't try so hard because you're sharp. Sometimes, most times when people are sharp is because they're trying too hard to hit the note. So it'll make you go over the note instead of being right on the note. So yeah.
No, I'm like, I guess I'm always sharp. You see that, Luther? If you're listening, you need to be more graceful. You approach a little off. No, I'm playing, but I love them. But so you're also a musician, and playing an instrument, particularly in the church, is not just a calling; it is a discipline. I feel like it's like being a doctor, like, because you're so needed in every. It doesn't matter if we're meeting to talk about, community service activity. They just want a musician there. Do you feel that musicians are appreciated the way that they should be within not necessarily your, but as a whole, right?
You know what? As a whole,
Yeah.
I think musicians are appreciated. Could there be some areas where they should be appreciated more? Maybe so, but on the other end, we as musicians have to appreciate the opportunity that we have to be able to play and do the things that we do in the church. Because if we weren't able to play in the church, I know a lot of people are going out to the world, but I think we have to appreciate the opportunity to be able to do what we do, just like the people that we play for ought to appreciate us as well.
Sure. Is there like a church? Is there a church musician union? Is there like no fair wages for fair, pay, or fair pay for fair work, like, and stuff like that? Like,
you know what? I don't believe there is, but one of my brothers, Curtis Lindsay, a while back, he had a forum with the musicians and the pastors, and they got together and they really began to talk about, how they felt as musicians, and the pastors were able to talk to the musicians and say, what they felt was lacking or what was needed more, and so on and so forth. So I think those conversations need to be had. But me personally, I've been blessed to have a good pastor, not only a good pastor, but a wonderful church to play at. So I don't really have those issues. Thank the Lord. I don't have those issues, but it does need to be talked about.
Cool. How do you approach this industry? Like, for secular artists, there's shows like American Idol, there's America's Got Talent. I mean, for Christian artists, gospel artists, you pretty much just have Sunday's Best, right? And even though it might be a ministry, and it is, there's also a very human element to it, right? Like the need for notoriety, for fame, for popularity. How do you balance that, right? Like, is it, because as great as one side may be, and as great as the ministry is needed, at the same time, you want the album to sell, right? You want this to happen. Can you talk to us about kind of that, just that reality that a lot of people may not be aware of?
Yeah, it is a big reality to it, which I'm finding out more and more, as an artist. Okay, yeah, you're anointed. Yeah, when you sing in the church, everybody fall out or wherever the case may be. But when it comes to the business aspect of the industry, to be honest, a lot of them aren't thinking about you anointing. They're looking at how you dress. They're looking at if you have style, if you have charisma. They're looking at all of those other things. So for us to really break into the industry and really begin to get notoriety, or get more plays with your music, you really have to market yourself. You really have to get a marketing plan together, and that's something that I'm trying to work on now. You can have a gift, but I don't want to say you got to know how to work your gift, but you got to know the things that are necessary in order to make headway in the industry, in the gospel industry. You can't just pray and say, God, you do it. It's some work that you have to put into it. I was able to take a music business class, so I started to learn about the publishing and the copyright and the different legal things that you need. All of those things you have to know. You have to know the whole spectrum of it, not just one side. And if you don't know it all, unless the Lord just say, this is where I want you to be, you're not going to make the headway that you want to make. And the other thing is, so many people out there, so many gifted people, so many talented people. They're all trying to do the same thing that you're trying to do. So I think you have to really decide how far you want to go. Some people are just church singers, some people may just be convocation singers. You may not be a gospel artist. That might not be the thing that you're supposed to do. So you really have to find out what you want, what your goals is, what you desire to be, and then do the homework. Do the work. I mean, get the knowledge, get the understanding, so you can navigate through the process to try and get to where you want to go.
I totally concur. Like, I can't even sing, but I know, like, specifically in Chicago, it seemed like every church had a voice, right? Like Cosmo had Diane, Fellowship had their singers, like every church has had a staple that is a giant, right? And then it's like, my God, like, how do you differentiate yourself? Right. Let's talk about that differentiating of oneself in the industry. Sometimes, unfairly so, gospel singers can be mislabeled. And I think it's just human. I think people love to discuss what they do not know. Right. And then when they do find out that humanity does exist, that gets exploited. But how do you kind of like say, like, hey, like, this is me, whatever, but this is who I am. I'm not doing this, or whatever. Like, how does that path look like for you? Because there's a lot of temptation out there, right? Like, singers in general, I think somebody did a study on, like, lead singers and, like, life expectancy, and it was like 40 years less than the band. It was just crazy. But like, if you're the Michael Jackson in your field or the Prince in your field, right? Like, how do you not fall into a lot of the similar traps?
Well, for me personally, I think it has to be, you have to really know who you are. You have to know who you are. You have to be confident in who you are. And you definitely have to stay prayerful and maintain your relationship with God in everything that you do, because you're human. You want opportunities. You want things to happen for you. And if you feel like, man, there's an individual that can get me where I want to go, you may feel like you want to connect with them, but when you connect with them and you find out what they want you to do in order to get you to that place, you got a desire to be right more than to get noticed or to get that opportunity. You have to desire that more. So you really have to know who you are, and you really have to stay prayerful. I think in some ways, it's people I know I can't even hang out. We singing gospel music, but I know I can't be really associated with them because of what they do. Oh, I'm not going to say that. because of what they do when they're not singing. So all of those things factor into it, but mainly knowing who you are and keeping your standards so that you don't fall for anything. You don't fall into the trap. So being very prayerful, seeking wise counsel, all of those things factor into it.
I am a fan of a lot of ministries. I grew up in the church. I love just church to a certain extent. All right. So, have you ever been offered more of an incentive, compensation speaking wise, right? to necessarily be the minister of music at another church? And if so, like what are the pros and cons to that? Like if somebody's willing to say, look, we love your ministry, you're great at it, you're anointed, a vessel of God, we love what you do, we just think you can make more of an impact over here, and we're willing to subsidize you by giving you this. Is that a conversation that happens in your arena, or is that just more for like the Word Network?
No, it happens. It happens to people. And some people, they feel like this is an opportunity for me, to have more. I want to make more. I want to do more. But for me personally, I'm more concerned about my soul, what I'm being fed, how I'm being cultivated spiritually. That's more important to me than being able to go here and make such and such amount of money. I've known some people, they got opportunity, they moved away. They got, they're getting paid every week. They got health insurance. They have, got them a house, got them a car. I mean, all those different things. But when you know where you've been planted and you know where you're being blessed, I'm not easily moved by that. I never have been, just never have been. Because to me, you think what you offer me, you think I'm a materialistic person. You think that you can offer me something and I'll just budge because you're offering me something. No, that's not the type of person that I am. So, but it is out there. And I'm not saying it is not the Lord, because I've seen some people richly blessed by making that move and making that change. But nah, not for me.
It's not for you.
No.
What is it? Does it ever get tiresome? Do you ever get tired of the district meetings? You ever get tired of being called on for a random solo? Like does it, because we're all human, right? Like I love working out, but there's some days I don't feel like putting my body through that. There's some days I don't feel like running these miles, especially when, the coffee or the pre-workout hasn't kicked in and I'm still like half asleep. There's just times where I think I get fatigued, not saying I'm tired of it. It's just that I just don't feel like it today. Is there ever a time when it's like, you know what, Pastor, I would love to sing I Need Thee, but I think you need to find somebody else to sing I Need Thee?
Very seldom.
Gotcha.
Not for me, because I just love to sing. Now the wear and tear, having to go here, okay, we got to sing every night or whatever the case may be. Sometimes physically it can wear your body, but anytime I have an opportunity, I'm usually pretty game for it. There have been a few times where it's like, oh man, okay, yeah, y'all can get somebody else to do it. But for the most part, no, I never have a problem singing.
Oh, because I was about to say, if you need help, I'll jump in. I can't sing, but I feel like I can get an auto-tune mic and hold my own. So, what do you think is the direction of gospel music that's going? Like, where is it going? I've seen kind of this genre evolve. I remember the 90s vividly. I remember the 90s sound. I remember John P. Key and his like infamous or whatever type of skits, whatever, like I remember that. And I've kind of seen it gradually evolve. And I don't think there's anything wrong with evolution, but it is a progression, right? Where is gospel music going?
To me, I think gospel music, it's going to continue to evolve, but I think it's coming back to that choir sound, that choir feel. I think it's going to get back to the heart of the message that it's supposed to have, as far as what gospel music really is supposed to be. I really believe it's going to, and especially when you look at the times that we're living in and the things that are happening, I think it's causing us to refocus on the things that really matter. And evaluate and look at what we're really doing, even in the gospel industry. What are we really doing? What are we really doing? But for me, I believe gospel music is going to be fine. It's not getting ready to go anywhere. It's always going to be there, and it's going to get back to the substance at the heart of what it's supposed to be. It's not going to be, okay, let's make something because this is the latest fad, or let's do this because it's the latest trend, because everybody's sort of into the let's worship, let's sing the same thing for 10 minutes, or
fog machines.
Yeah. So, but I think it's going to get back to the heart of what it should be, and it's going to be full of substance again. So I think it's going to go back into a good place.
Do you think that there is a sound? I've read, the sound, but like nobody's ever truly identified what that sound is, and it's up for debate. I mean, there's a lot of cultural, anthropological meaning toward that sound, but I definitely hear you saying, listening to the song we featured, and it was like, wow, so relevant for 2020. And I love all forms of gospel music. I'm a huge Christian hip hop fan, but when I want to shift and really get, I would say, serious with God, I have to hear something that is just not being done right. So is that a real thing, or is that just more of a preference?
I think it could be both. I think sometimes I think it's a preference for people, but I don't necessarily want to say it's a sound per se. I think it's what the heart creates. It's what's coming from the heart that creates the sound. And I think God recognizes what comes from the heart more than the sound, because you had some people that were offering up sacrifice to him, and he didn't even accept it. He didn't even enjoy it. It wasn't pleasurable to him because the sound came from a place. It wasn't a place of truth. It wasn't a place from sincerity and realness with God. So, but I think it is a preference. It is a preference. Sometimes I need to hear something more like in a worship vein, Natasha Cobbs. But then there's sometimes where I need to just hear a good old congregational song, So, I think it's a preference. And then too, it's where you at in what you're dealing with and what you're going through. It's something that you can hear that'll connect with you where you are.
No, that makes a lot of sense. With that sound, how important, sometimes I wonder, there's certain things, I think there's certain pillars within our church, especially within our cultural expression. One is the Hammond organ, right? Like, and it's starting to creep in. Like, I'm starting to hear Stephen Furtick try to tune, which is crazy because he never tried it. Now he's tried it. Now, I don't have, I like Stephen Furtick. I'm not trying to.
Do you know he can sing? He can sing.
He can sing. I have listened to him. He can sing. So like that sound of that need, but it is, I don't know if I agree with an anointed, instrument. Like I don't know. I'm not against it. I'm not for it. It's just hard to say that God prefers a certain instrument over another. I don't have a scripture for that. But do you think that the organ is the most needed instrument in the house of worship?
You know what? The organ, I think, especially in our culture, the Black church, it's definitely something that's needed to get that churchy feel, the churchy sound. But I mean, you can look at even some of our Caucasian brothers and sisters. They got the Hammond in there, and they rocking, the Hammond too. So if you think about the scripture though in Psalms, when he talks about let everything that have breath praise the Lord, then he goes about telling us praise him on a high sounding cymbal, praise him on the instruments and the organ. So I think those are pertinent things that he wants to be included in the worship. But it's just something about that organ, But then you have some churches, they lean more into the keyboards and the strings and the but even in that they still have an organ in there. So organ is just, it just creates a certain sound, a certain feel, and it's I think it's needed. I need it. They even making keyboards now with the organ sound. So what did that tell you?
That's true. They make guitars with the organ effect on the pedals. I mean, like and I get it. I mean, like it's definitely a different sounding instrument. It's unique in its own space, and it's a bit eerie. Like if you just listen to like an organ kind of play, like by itself, it can belong in a horror film. Like it's just it's a separate instrument, all by itself. For the next wave of talent, right? The next A Star Is Born, next AIM singers. If you could tell this upcoming generation of praise and worship leaders something, what would you tell them? As somebody has been a leader, as somebody who's produced music, has made music, has sung on different levels and platforms, who has their own brand, who is recognized. If you could tell them like, hey, watch out for, or don't do, or do this, what would you tell them?
Well, number one, be true to yourself. Be true to yourself. Don't do anything that you do not feel comfortable doing. I don't care who it is. I don't care how famous they are. If it's something that you don't feel comfortable with doing, don't do it. I will also say you really have to practice. You really need to work on honing your gift. You need to really, really do that. I've even started back to taking voice lessons. I'm taking voice lessons just to get more knowledge and understanding about how to use my gift. So I would say, again, be true to who you are, be faithful, be dedicated. Don't do anything that you don't feel comfortable doing, and work on your gift. And also do it because you love the Lord. Because if you do it for any reason, you'll get frustrated. You'll feel disappointment more than you should because you forgot the reason why you do what you do. So remember why you do what you do. Your gift, your singing, whatever your voice, the Lord gave it to you. Anytime you sing, anytime you minister, offer it back up to Him. And if you remember the reason why you do what you do, you probably won't experience being disappointed or upset or frustrated as much as you would be if you forget why you do what you do.
I like that. Let's throw a curveball in here. Okay, so I have a cousin who can play, right? Really good, disciplined. I mean, practice. When we were all younger, he was annoying. We'd be trying to play the video games. He was on the piano just hammering away, right? Then we got his keyboard. We were trying to play the video games. He'd just be hammering away. Like he literally, I felt like he was stuck to that thing. It was just, and now, he can just play. I mean, shout out to Dr. Walls. But it's funny kind of seeing the experiences he's had from testimony service to blessed saints of God who mess up the words in testimony service and then get mad at the musician, to other preachers who like don't hear themselves and think they're in one key and name a wrong key, and then has a preacher ever I won't say disrespected, but ever try to direct you on the organ? Like as a musician, every time that happens, I just look at a musician's face and I feel like if there was a moment they would backslide, it'd be right there. Has that ever happened to you? Have you ever been like, you can't preach? You know what I'm saying? Like it just like play the wrong key.
It hasn't necessarily been the preacher himself. It was sometimes the people that came with him. That came with them. They look at me like, okay, why you're not playing yet? Well, it don't sound like to me that he ready for me to start playing. But on the other hand, since they know him, if they feel like it's time for me to start playing, okay, well, I'll start playing. Now, I will say me, and this is something that I've learned. It was one time I was speaking somewhere, and I felt like the musician was trying to put me in a different key, and I'm like, well, don't change the key on me. And he literally got up off the organ and stopped playing and I felt so bad. I felt so bad. And I got some advice from another preacher. He's like, you know what, before you get up and minister, maybe you could tell them what key you want to be in. And that really opened my eyes to being more mindful of the musicians, how they're feeling. They're there to try and help us, So, it's a way that you can do it, instead of just being ignorant and disrespectful to them. Now, there have been a few times where I've been asked to stop playing, and I really don't get offended too much now because I understand. I understand. Sometimes, I guess I'm just not getting it done, and if I'm not getting it done, that's okay. Maybe I just can't get it done. So, but that hasn't happened to me too often because I really try and pay attention and sort of feel what's the right thing to do. And I played for preachers. They went into like 5 or 6 different keys, but I just went to the key that they were in. So but it hasn't happened to me too often. I can say thank the Lord.
Yeah, I don't know. If it was me, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I had that type of skill, somebody did that to me, I'm gonna be out. I see Luke handle it like really well and give it cool. I would after that, I'd be on some sabotage mode. I'd be like, oh word,
you have to have strong skin, and you can't always be easily offended, by things either. When you're a musician, really, I mean, you do have to deal with a lot. You have to deal with a lot, but you have to be, you have to be thick skinned with it. You have to get, you have to be, and then, if there is something where you feel like, okay, you were really disrespected, maybe you can have a conversation afterwards or something, but hey, let it fall off your back and keep going. Get on there and play at the next service. Go ahead, get back to it, because that's what you're supposed to be doing.
Man, that was power, because I'm not there. I'm gonna be honest with you. Somebody would caught these words afterward. I'd be like, if you ever try to embarrass me, I would have said so. No, buddy.
And then it's been times where I didn't have to say anything. Somebody else fought the battle for me. So, a lot of times I didn't have to say nothing. Somebody else said it for me. So I'm like, thank you.
Oh my gosh. So what is next? So you come to this point in your career. What is next for you, Evangelist Moore? Like, is there like not a bucket list, but like a checklist? Like, I want my music to do this. I want to perform here. I want to, is it like Coachella? Like, what is that goal list for you?
Well, my first goal, number one, is to finish my album, which I am working on now, which I'm excited to say. Be looking for some new music from me. Hopefully it'll be coming out before the year is out. If not, at the beginning of 2021. But that's the first thing, to get my music out. I would love to one day be able to perform at the Stellar Awards. That would be a goal. I would like for at least one of my songs to possibly just be played all over the world, be played everywhere. I would love to go and sing overseas. I would love to do that as well. But I'm pretty much open. I'm not trying to lock myself in to anything. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. And so far, just for me doing what I'm doing what the Lord has called me to do. Doors of opportunity have opened up that I didn't even have to try to make happen for myself. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just focused on singing, get my music out, and I'm going to see what happens as a result of that.
Awesome. I love it. What do you think 2020 has done for the gospel music industry? Is it harder now to put out anything because of the circumstance, because of COVID, because you're not really able to tour? I mean, you could have virtual tours. I've seen Kira Shear do that, but it's not, and I'm sure it was successful, but it's not the same thing. I think it's the point I'm trying to get at. Right. Has it been like a complete lockdown? Even when we think of, praise and worship, I think of Freedom Temple, our praise and worship team has been cut in half. You're trying to have social distancing, so you got to be 6 feet apart, so there's only so much space you can pretty much play with. What has that effect been like on just ministering and then gospel music?
For me, personally, the only thing that really changed for me is having only in a sense, because I always got to church early anyway, but we basically have just been using the praise team to sing instead of having the choir, singing outside. So you got to get the sound outside and all that, but we got a lot of people to help us with that. So it hasn't been much different. I do miss the choir, the choir being able to sing. I really miss that. As far as the gospel industry, actually, I think it's been a great help, especially for us independent artists, because a lot of people are home more now. This is an opportunity for us to seize to really try and, get our music out, get on Instagram, get on YouTube, get on Facebook, exploit your music, get it out there, because now is a time where you have more people that have more time on their hands. So there's a possibility they'll run through your music. So for us as independent artists, I think this is a great time for us to really get our music out. So, yeah. But I know for a lot of people, like you said, not being able to tour, it probably has been a financial strain on some people. But now they're doing the virtual concerts and they're making it work. They're making it work. I think in this time, a lot of creativity is coming out that we didn't necessarily know that we had. It's opening up a level of creativity that probably wouldn't have come out if this hadn't happened. So I hate that it has happened, but in some ways it's been good, especially for me. It's been good for me.
That's good. That's good to hear. I think COVID has forced us to look introspectively and see what really lies beneath, and to bring out that best version of oneself, or the worst version of oneself. But a version is coming nonetheless. So I had a chance to connect, via FB Messenger, Facebook Messenger, with the Right Reverend Maurice Fears. He said, "I can join the Redeemed Choir." I told him I'm not leaving Freedom Temple. I just want to join the choir and only sing on the first Sundays and then go back to my church. So that's kind of my thing, since I feel like I grew up in part, at least at Redeem. I feel like I have an honorary choir seat somewhere in the sanctuary in the new. So when we get back to normal, I'm gonna just sneak my way into the choir.
Okay.
Yeah, personal hype man. I don't think so. I mean, I'm actually be singing like the songs. I think I can hold my own. I'm really good at congregationals as long as you don't go above like a very hoarse preacher's register. As long as we stay within that. Luke knows how to mask me. Luke knows when I'm about to go somewhere that I shouldn't go. And I just my goodness. Follow his direction. So that's kind of going on. But look,
oh my goodness, that's hilarious. That is hilarious.
But I appreciate you, Mrs. Moore. I appreciate you so much. You have no idea what this means. Just an amazing gift to the body of Christ. Definitely miss you all. This COVID thing has been, I feel like it's going to be a Netflix documentary real soon. But where can they connect with you? You talked about the new album coming out. When is that dropping? Where can they connect with you? Where can they follow you?
Well, you can follow me on Facebook, Chrysann Moore, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Chrysann Moore as well. I'm really hoping, I would really love if my album was out by the end of November. But it just depends on how everything goes. Once we start locking everything in. If not November, maybe December. If not December, for sure in January of 2021. But I'm very excited with the songs that I have that are going to be coming out. Very excited. A couple of songs I actually wrote during the pandemic. So I'm excited. I'm excited to share this music with everyone. So I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. If you need some help, I know some rappers, they not, they cuss a little bit and they smoke a little bit, but they would be great on a feature track. You give them like some bars, got to do with Nikki, they'll blaze. They will do it. They will do it. Let me know. I got one coming on tomorrow, so that's gonna be great. But look, I appreciate you so much. Tomorrow's episode is featuring the rapper Schaefer Jones, straight out of Chicago. It's gonna be amazing. Also, again, subscribe at the link below, YouTube at CV Space K. I appreciate my guest, Mrs. Moore. Connect with her, support, download, buy the album, and when church opens back up, please holler at her and Joliet. I thank you so much. All right, guys.
Take care. Bye.